Pop the hood. Alrighty, I'm going to change the oil today. There's our oil filter right here. Need a big, I think it's 32 millimeter wrench to get on that. Oil fill plug here. Drain plug is underneath, and here's the dipstick. Love the fact that this generation of BMW still has a dipstick. Alrighty, so we're going to change the oil. So in my BMW, oil goes in here, oil filter's here, cap's got a big 36 millimeter nut on it, and this vintage E39s still have dipsticks so you can check your oil level. Nice. So I got it in the garage and took it for a little drive to warm up the oil. Now, I got my cardboard to slide under the car, but I do have to jack up one side, put it under a jack stand so I can get underneath it. Now I do have a creeper, but I find that just using cardboard for something simple like an oil change is much easier to get in and out of. To use the creeper, I would have to jack up both sides of the car and put it way higher up in the air to be able to fit underneath there. All right, got my jack out. Got my jack stand. Now let's jack it up. So BMW's got these convenient jacking points with pads. So there's one towards the front, one towards the back. So it's an easy spot to get it. Don't mind my distorted underbelly pan there. I hit a big piece of tire tread from a tractor trailer on the highway last year and ripped my front bumper, which I had to get that replaced. Did a whole bunch of other damage. Body shop was trying to save money, just kind of squeezed it in. And I was okay with that. All right, let's raise her on up. A few pumps. Hello, Mr. Spider. How did you get here so quick? You're right in my way, buddy. I just pulled into the garage, my gosh. All right, so now obviously you don't want to get under the car with just the jack holding it up, because in case the jack fails. So I got a jack stand. Let's find a nice beefy spot to support it. I usually use this brace right here. This engine cradle. Looks like I still got to go up a little ways. A couple more cranks. All right, I'm going to leave you guys here. You tell me. Give me a shot when I have enough room. Alrighty. Oh, beautiful. We got enough. Let's bring that up a notch. Okay, and let's rest the car on that. All right, so now that most of the weight's on the jack stand, I still like to take up any slack with the jack. So I kind of have two things. helping hold the car up. So let's get the cardboard in place. Get my drain pan underneath there. Got my shop rag. And let's find a wrench. So, manual says it's a 17 millimeter. And so, I like using these if I can. This will work great. If not, I can grab a 17 millimeter socket and there we go, 17 socket, 3/8 extension, and a ratchet. Let's go down with both, see which one works the best. Let me get some light. Might be time to upgrade my work light, but it still works. Hit the reset on the GFI. There we go. It still works. And away we go. So some of my friends complain about working with cars with belly pans under the engine simply because they can't get to the drain plugs. Luckily, BMWs on the E39s, they include this handy little access port. And normally there's a little door there. You just undo a screw in the back and the door slips down. But as you can see, I lost mine. Probably ripped off when I hit that piece of tread. Ideally, I should get a new belly pan. It's all beat up. I do have an oil leak somewhere. It seems like I'm chasing oil leaks all the time like crazy on this car. I wonder if that's engine oil, power steering oil. I've already replaced the valve cover gaskets. I've replaced, what else have I replaced? The oil pan gasket. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so there's the drain plug. It's got an Allen head hex hole in it as well, but I just prefer using the 17 mil. And seeing how it's recessed there, I don't think I can use that nice mountain wrench. Let me just use my ratchet. Make sure it's going the right way. Rightsy tightsy, leftsy loosey. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, just enough to break it loose. Get the drain plug in place. And let's get the plug out of there. Ow, 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 hot, hot, hot. Okay, so we're draining now. Now while we're letting that drain for a bit, let's go change the oil filter. All right, so the cap on top of the oil filter housing is a 36 millimeter. I don't have a 36 millimeter socket or a wrench, but I do have a giant set of channel locks, so I will just use that. Let me just size them up approximately. There we go. And let me put a piece of paper towel on there just to save the plastic a little bit. And then also, I like to hold on to the oil filter housing because I have learned through experience that if it's stuck a little bit and you're just, if the cap's on a little tight and you torque on it, you could break the little rubber mountings pretty easily. Luckily, they still sell replacements. So again, loosen that up and then unscrew the filter. So much easier than doing this underneath the car. I guess there's more lines that can fail and leak, but let's take the cap off. So on the cap, you got to replace this O-ring that's on that helps seal the cap. New one comes with the filter. And then here's the filter itself. So I ordered a OEM replacement from FCP Euro. I'll leave a link. And Basically, it comes with the new filter element, and some other goodies in the box are a O-ring for the cap, and then of course a new washer for the drain plug. So let's take that old filter out, let it drain a little bit into the housing. Good. And I'll just go stick this in the drain pan to let it drain some more. All right, now we pop the new filter housing in. Ring goes down. Sits on a ring down in the bottom of the housing. Perfect. Let's open up get the O-ring out without losing the washer, since we'll need that for the drain plug. And then let's take the old O-ring off. I'm just using an old dental pick. You can either buy cheap ones at Harbor Freight, or if you're really cheap, ask your dentist if they have any old dental instruments. This is a dental instrument used for scaling teeth. Like somebody's got gum disease, they'll use that. Ask them if they have any old ones that they want to get rid of, and most dentists will be happy to give you some if you're gonna, if you tell them you're gonna use it for hobby purposes. Working on your cars, doing hobby. I use these for a lot of different stuff. All right, now let's put the new O-ring in place, and you don't want it on the threads, you want it in the little groove specifically for it. And so the torque specs for this is 18 foot-pounds, so it's not a ton. So again, because I don't have the proper socket, I'll just use this and just twist it a little bit, just to put a little bit, tighten it, last little bit. Beautiful. You don't want to overdo it and break something. All right, so now that that's done, let me clean up my old O-ring that I left here. I'll toss that. Now it's time to go back underneath and put the new plug in, put the plug back with the new copper washer on the. All right, here's my old drain plug, copper washer still on there. Using my dental pick, let me pull that off of there. And let me pop the new one on there. So we're ready to go put this back into place. And as you can see, I beat up the hex. Stupidly, in the beginning when I first had the car, I was using an Allen driver to use that. I don't know why I did that. It's so much easier just to use a 17mm socket. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe just because, oh, it's a fancy German car. Look at that. You got to use a hex driver, not a regular driver, regular socket. Oh well, live and learn. All right, it's pretty much done draining. Still a little bit of a dribble. That's good enough. Remove the pan out of the way. We'll put a rag to catch it. Got the plug. Let's see if I could get you guys a good view. Where's that hole? There it is. And you just thread it in. Make sure it's going in cleanly. Don't want to cross thread it at this point, and then have to take the pan off to work on it. So I put it in finger tight. Wipe off any oil. I suppose I could get some brake cleaner and spray it. Get my socket and ratchet. Put it on there. And again, torque specs for this is 18 foot-pounds. I just kind of go by feel. There we go. Good. All right. Now, clean up a little bit. I spilled a whole bunch there from the oil filter housing. Great. Good thing I got some kitty litter. But let's get the pan out from under here. I'm going to take the car down off the jack stands and add oil. the jack stand. Pull the stand off. And lower her down. That was probably a little too fast. Should have gone a little slower. All right, so now we're all set up top. Open up the oil cap. You can actually see timing change. Pretty cool. All right, so the V8 has an oil capacity of 7.5 liters. So the oil change kit that I got from FCP Euro sent me 8 liters of oil. So I'm gonna have half a liter left over. So let's do the big one first. I think I used Kirkland brand last time and it just comes in a conventional top. So let me see if I can just tighten this in. Pull the spout out. Pop the little sealing ring. And hopefully I put it back together so it won't leak on me. Here we goes nothing. Nice. Remember as a kid we had the old styled paper cans with the metal ends. Anybody remember those things? If so, please leave me a comment. So they had these, you could either have these special funnels that you would buy that you would just kind of shove into the metal and it was supposed to act as a spout too, or it was actually a spout, not a funnel. Anytime we did that, that always seemed to leak, even though you had to use a can opener on the other side to pop a couple air holes in, so still always made a mess, it seemed. These new, when they switched over to plastic oil cans, it was so much better. The plastic bottles, so much easier to use, less messy. And then nowadays too, since oil, you recycle the oil, I just take the used oil from, drain it, take it from the drain pan, pop it into the containers. I save the big ones and then I'll use like an old, water gallon, milk gallon jug type of thing. I've even used windshield washer fluids and old antifreeze containers so I can bring it back to either the auto parts store or to a gas station for them to recycle. In the old days when I was a little kid, I remember my dad would just take it and dump the oil, spread the old oil out onto our driveway to keep the weeds and to kill the weeds and to keep the dust down. Not good for the environment. Probably not good for us either. At least luckily we didn't have well water. We had town water where I live, so we weren't drinking it. The good old days when nobody cared about the environment, right? Ugh. So glad those days are over. Much nicer. Much nicer. So I pop that back down. Put the lid back on. And all right, 5 liters down, 2.5 to go. And now the other 3 liters they sent are in these little guys. So we'll dump that back in there. So my car is a 2003 model. I was at the store the other day, and you know how they have here in the US, they'll have little signs up by the checkout saying that if you were born before this day on this year of a certain year, you can't actually buy alcohol. So now in 2024, that year on those signs is 2003. And so I'm filming this in early June of 2024, and my car was built in May of 2003, so according to the VIN number. So actually it's 21 years old now. It can buy alcohol legally in the US. All right, so that was 6. Here's number 7. The wide mouths on these bottles too is great because they're wide enough that you can pour and air can still get into it. The old ones with the really skinny openings, you had to pour them just right, and if you're not careful it would glug and then the oil would just kind of spill out, get all over everything. Much neater job this way. All right, last one. So that was seven liters. This is number 8. So for this, we only need half of it. And luckily, it's got some gradations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about where my thumb is, that's where we want the level to be. That'd be about half. A little bit more to go. Just put it on a plate. A few more ounces. I know. I shouldn't mix ounces with metric measurements. A few more milliliters. All right, that looks pretty good. We'll check it too once I run the car a little bit. All right, funnel out, cap back in. And one thing I learned from watching Rain Man Ray, great channel, I'll leave a link to that down in the description. You always want the cap to look straight, otherwise the car doesn't run well. And the oil and the dipstick check. Wipe that off. Very good. Tiny bit high, but I'm gonna run it. That'll circulate it better. It'll fill up the filter. Should be right on the money. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Simpler video this time, but gets me out here changing the oil, which I was kind of neglectful for. All right, see you in the next one. Okay, and here's some future projects that are on the list. So I was getting water leaking into my back seat, so I took the door panel off. And the sticky adhesive material that holds the sealed panel in, the water seal panel in, has failed. So this is second time I'm going to be replacing it. First time was probably about 11 years ago. So I got this panel apart, got some new sticky stuff on orders and just need to find the time to do it. So that's that. Got to do both rear doors. And I got to look into this. My rear sunshade does the back, this little side thing. Stopped, it was loose, pulled out, and doesn't retract, so I gotta check the manual, see if I can fix that, or worst case I might have to order a new one. Looks like this is cracked a little bit here. I gotta take the door panel off anyway, clean it up and redo that seal as well. The joys of holding an old car. Another joy is that when you start taking stuff apart, it's manufactured 2002, things break. So one of the little clips broke as I was taking that passenger side rear door apart. So I got to see how much a new one costs. I'm also going to see if I can just fix this. I noticed Harbor Freight's got a little plastic welding kit. Give that a shot first. Otherwise, I'll see how much a replacement part is on FCP Euro. Oh yeah, nothing like the smell of wet dog in the car.